Iowa City and Johnson County residents have had concerns about policing and prosecution policy even before Black Lives Matter and since Black Lives Matter, continuing to this day. Recently, since in that time period, state and local police have used tear gas against protesters in 2020. County Sheriff's Office acquired and continues to keep an MRAP military vehicle. 7 protesters, all transgender, were arrested last fall and charged by the county attorney. The county attorney's office is promoting a community violence intervention program using ARPA funds, and there's differing opinions about that program. So taking all of those into consideration, do you approve of these or any other policing and prosecution tactics that you can think of? Do you approve of those? And if not, are there other policies you would promote as a supervisor?
You mentioned the protesters. When it comes to protesting, I know as a protester, as an organizer, that disobedience, civil disobedience. We plan. There's strategic planning to protesting, and I feel like you have to be educated. And if you don't know, you don't know. I feel like as a Teamster organizer, with the civil disobedience, we know that if anybody crossed that line, we know it's already set in stone. Somebody's going to jail. We know this. It's all part of a setup. But with this that has happened with these transgender protesters, I definitely was not going to go against our county attorney because I didn't feel like she was responsible for what had happened to them. So that's my opinion. I'll come back later with the rebuttal.
So I sit on the Central Committee for the Johnson County Democrats, and in my position there, there was a censuring of the county attorney. And just so everybody understands exactly what was going on there, is there was a protest. My understanding, I wasn't there, but the road was being blocked. No one was arrested at that time, and Rachel Zimmerman was posed with the question of what do we do here, and so she said, you know, anybody else that would do that, we would end up having charges against them. So that's what ended up happening. So they came in and they wanted to remove her from office. And by censuring is how I look at that. And maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but that's kind of what was looked at. I voted no for that censuring, and the reason I voted no for that censuring was she was being fair and impartial. I will always support the right to peacefully protest in this county, always support that right. And so, you know, she has a job to do. For me to be a board of supervisor to tell her she's not going to do it anymore, she didn't do it the way I liked, is wrong. And so that's why I stood up for Rachel Zimmerman in that case. And you know, I guess I reached out to one of the leaders also in the community that was involved in that protest and asked her, I said, how can we do this together? How can you peacefully protest and law enforcement not get involved? She still hasn't got back to me on that, but it's a genuine conversation, and I'm not going to leave that conversation. I'm going to come back to it. So I think there's a way of working out that. So
I want to start by saying when I'm answering safety questions, I am answering them as a domestic violence survivor, as the parent of trans youth, and as a person who is finishing a 4-year term on the Iowa City Community Police Review Board. And on that 4-year term of the Iowa City Community Police Review Board, my next meeting is literally in about my last meeting is about 2 weeks. I presided as chair over the investigation of the tear gassing. And I watched hours and hours and hours of every angle of body cam and dash cam that was available of that incident over the course of months. I read a hundreds-page report by the OIR group about that incident. I listened to officers say things like, oh, look at that, cool. So I definitely am proud to say that I had a hand in getting the, Chief Liston did agree to this change. The code for Iowa City Police Department does now require their duty to intervene extends to other agencies. That was a very complicated situation with a lot of agencies involved, and so now they are required to intervene if there's excessive force by another agency.
I would just like to say, if you could remember the downtown shooting, the killing on the Pad Mall, it consists of just I work with youth in our community, and it was our black men, young men who did the killing on the Pad Mall. And so now we have something called GVI. It's a Community Gun Violence Intervention Program, which partners. We have stakeholders. When I tell you the school, the Iowa City Community School District. We have law enforcement from Iowa City, North Liberty, Coralville, Tiffin, everybody. We have parole officers, we got probation officers, and we got black men who have went to prison who can literally, what we do is we go, it's preventative. We're trying to stop these things before they happen. So when the police hear anything of our young black men, white men, Mexican, Hispanic, whoever, you know, gang-related, any type of things, going to do something to each other, they get a notice. Cedar Rapids notified Iowa City notified Cedar Rapids so that we won't have Cedar Rapids coming down here shooting, or our kids won't go down to Cedar Rapids shooting. So what I'm involved in, I'm on the committee, I serve on the committee, I'm very happy of this. We are knocking doors. When we hear that somebody is into it with each other, we go, we go knock on the doors and we ask to speak to these people and we talk to them and see what it is that they need. How can we stop this in our community? It is brand new. There is no data, but it's working. It is working. People, huh?
No data for this one.
Yeah, no data because it's only 8 months old, and we've been trying to prevent from drive-by shootings and shootings on the southeast side of town. We're trying to stop that. So we got men who have been to prison. We got men who have went to college, black men, going out to talk to these kids. And we're doing preventative measures to stop all that we can do in our community. And I'm very proud to be working with the law enforcement, Rachel Zimmerman, our county attorney. Everybody is working together. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't collaborate, partner, and work together, you have to learn to build trust. And that's number one.
Further comments?
Yep.
I have a rebuttal. So I'm also on the Central Committee, and I was also at that meeting that day regarding the censor. And first I want to say a censor is just a statement. Neither the Johnson County Central Committee or the Johnson County Board of Supervisors has the ability to remove the county attorney from office. That is an elected position, as Rod said. So the censor was just a statement. That's all that was. And it's not true that anybody else doing the same thing would have been arrested, because there were hundreds of other people doing the same thing that very day. And the only folks who were targeted and arrested from video surveillance after the fact were trans folks. Also, when we talk about how a county attorney does their job, we can look at the Iowa County Attorney Prosecutorial Standards, which are what define what the county attorney's job is. And those standards very clearly say, multiple times, that the county attorney has complete discretion. They can know that somebody broke the law and still choose not to charge them because they don't think that the law is just. This is an unconstitutional law that's being enforced in Johnson County.